Good evening, good afternoon, kings and queens of the land. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon to all the royals. Good afternoon to the liberated zones in Africa. Let me acknowledge them all. Fix my t-shirt. Let me acknowledge them all. Begin of Niger, led by President Abdurrahman Tian, and Mali, led by President Assimi Goita. Good afternoon to the liberated zone in KwaZulu-Natal. The reason I say liberated zones, I mean those who are free from colonization by the British or the French or any European country, Portuguese or the Spanish. Good afternoon to KZN. Good afternoon, led by President Zuma, the MK party led by President Jacob Gedleyihlekisa Zuma, liberated under the British colony. South Africa still under the British control as a British colony. President Zuma fighting out of the internet a little bit. The white system, President Zuma fighting against the white system, liberating partly KZN, but his purpose is to liberate the whole of South Africa and the whole of Africa from the colonial masters and the imperial masters, who are the British and the Americans. Good afternoon to ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mngonu Mkondo. This is the Royal Opinion. Today, we're discussing about confidence brought by the MK party against President Ramaphosa. I want us to discuss on what will come out of that and what is the purpose the MK party is putting that into the spotlight or is putting it into discussion. We will discuss on what is a vote of no confidence and how important it is for what they call democracy, for the so-called democracy. But before we do that, let me share just a little bit of what I said 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think it's 3 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, where I was speaking about what will happen to General Ntantam Kwanazi before Ramaphosa actually announced what he's going to do. So I was preempting what he was going to say. Let me play that so that you can see how well we get it, how close we get it, not even close, how accurate we
But this
are
is very
in
dangerous.
analysis. for him. We need, if we can produce 1,000 people like General Mkwanas, then we can be able to defeat the white system. So, what is going to happen to General Mkwanas? This is what is going to happen. President Ramaphosa will say is the General Mkwanas. That's why inquiry, the commission of inquiry, which will investigate all the issues or all the allegations, but Mkwanazi says he's got evidence. Investigate. They put a judge who is going to who is paid by the system, who is part of the system. They are going to sanitize that issue. They are going to clean sense of Mkunu from all the accusations which were labeled like get fired, is going to get suspended in some suspension from this position. So the national commissioner does not agree with the cartel. Accurately predicting what Cyril was gonna say, exactly predicting what he was gonna say, and exactly predicting what is going to happen to General Mkwanazi. There's already a charge sheet for General Mkwanazi, so I heard is going to be charged exactly as I have said. The commission of inquiry, which has been set up exactly as I have predicted just before. Sorry about that. I think I was taken out of the internet again. Exactly as I have predicted, word for word, what will happen to not what they call the renowned political analyst while they push the propaganda, not giving the facts of what is going to happen or the truth. Propaganda. Here we report on accuracy, very accurate on what will actually happen. I actually predicted the elections. I predicted exactly the results. I want to be robbed from Umkhonto Wesizwe. I predicted all of those things. This is the royal opinion where we analyze politics based on fact. My name is Mngoni Mkhonto again. Thank you very much for joining, ladies and gentlemen. Shocking issues. Another issue that is going to take me out of the internet. There's another lady who broke the internet. There's another lady who broke the internet before going to details, before going to discussions, which a lady called YouTuber in the United States have broke the internet by accusing the first lady, so-called first lady of France, that she's not a man. She's not a woman. She's a man. Let me share. Let me just share a little bit of a video. Do I know this is they are going to take this video out most probably when I share, but let me just share.
Can you pull up the opening lines where they say that we didn't allow them? Yeah. It says, in March of 2024, Candace, a right-wing podcaster, told the world that she would stake her entire professional reputation on the fact that Brigitte Macron is, in fact, a man, and then goes on to say, rather than engaging with President and Mrs. Macron's attempts to set the record straight, Owens mocked them and used them as additional fodder for her frenzied fan base. Okay, that's very interesting. So now we can just go ahead and show you when they contacted us. Actually, what they said was, she does not have to answer your questions about whether or not she is and always has been a woman. And we went back and told them, no, actually you do. And here are some more questions, and we're willing to sit down for an interview. I actually went into my computer today, found that letter we sent to them, and typed in the word interview to see how many times we mentioned the prospect of flying out to interview them. Again, we sent this letter to them before we ran the first episode of the show. So this was in early January. Let's pull up what we wrote here. Second, my lawyer tells them, your insistence that Mrs. Macron outright refuses to provide evidence of her gender alone creates significant reason to doubt her counsel-filtered denials. As such, Candace is interested in having Mrs. Macron comment on this controversy, and, as detailed below, Candace now extends Mrs. Macron a full opportunity to rebut the allegations at issue here. Should Mrs. Macron decline this opportunity, that fact, too, precludes a claim of actual malice. Okay, we can go on here. Elsewhere in this letter in which we wrote back to them, we wrote here, you state, because they did, that Mrs. Macron, and we quoted them here, does not owe Candace proof that she is and always has been a woman. But you are wrong for several reasons, and your statement on the matter, which we consider to be admissible evidence, precludes your claim of actual.
Okay, let me take that one out. Just to avoid issues, let me take that one out. Because I may even be taken out of the internet for sharing that one. Everybody will be taken out for me because I shared that information. But what is happening, or what I wanted to comment on, is the first lady of France, who is said to be the wife of President Emmanuel Macron. There's an allegation that she's not a woman; she's actually a man. So President Macron is actually gay, and they are lying to the public that hey, his wife is actually a woman. So there are those accusations. They say 30 years of her life is missing. They can't they can't find anything on her until she was 30. This is critical, and this is very important, or very disturbing as well, uh, because these are the type of leaders that lead us. Where the details of their existence are actually sketchy. The details are sketchy. The details of President Ramaphosa's existence is actually sketchy. Uh, all of his life is actually hidden. Where are his children? Where are his children? Was working for the apartheid police, but where did which village did he came from? Did he had roots in South Africa? It's like all the sellouts are getting planted from somewhere, from they are leading, they are selling out there at the top. Ramaphosa's father and the details of his father is sketchy. So Macron as well and his wife, their details are actually sketchy. This woman is actually 25 years older than Macron, older than the president of France. She actually looks like a grandmother to she looks like a mother, like, or a grandmother to him. But they say it's his wife. The first lady's details cannot be traced. That's what they say until the age of 30 years. That's why she appears. She's like reigning from nowhere. Nobody knows where she comes from. Photos of her before, when she was still younger, nobody can find. Nobody knows about it. But I'm just saying, maybe we should have a cut line of which generation, maybe the second generation, not the second generation, not maybe the third generation South African should lead us, because we should avoid getting led by people that we don't even know. We don't know these people, and we don't know where they come from. And I doubt if they are really South Africans and their fathers, grandfathers were South Africans. I think these are people who are just planted in different places. Thank you very much, Mr. Victor Shongwe, for joining. Defend Rama to the grave. The DA supporters are confused because the party is conflicted. They have to defend Rama to the grave. There's no other way they can do. That's what we're going to talk about in the vote of no confidence. This is the test for the Democratic Alliance who flip flop on Palapala. The vote of no confidence. Thank you very much for your comment there. I actually wanted to first comment about the type of leaders that we are having. That's why they actually sell out. We should have a limit For people to lead us, we should know a particular generation of their family, not just one generation, not somebody who just reign, who does not know their history or their past, who have just reigned on us. And then that person becomes a leader and they lead us. It's a problem because you can't lead people without knowing yourself. You need to know who you are before you can lead people. Do you how do we allow people that father, who is your grandfather, where did they move from? We need to know all of those things before we can select somebody as a leader. Because if we don't have those details, it's like we are led by people that we don't even know, who does not even know themselves. The details are sketchy. People are just raining on us. Confidence. Any party that defends the impeachment of the president uh, defines itself against the wishes of the majority. This is going to be tough. This is going to be a big, a serious issue. Those who does not know what we are talking about or what we are about here. The MK party has filed the vote of no confidence on President Cyril Ramaphosa. I think it will be uh, uh, tabled in Parliament on Wednesdays this week. I think it's going to be tabled in Parliament this week. The MK party has filed a vote of no confidence. The members of the MK party, the total parliamentary members of the MK party is 58. If we add the ATM, we only have 60 members in parliament. The total number of members in parliament is actually 400 members. Kosana Fulani, thank you very much for joining. Waiting patiently from the best analysts, better than those of the mainstream media, paid up propagandist professors, last student in the class. Thank you very much for joining. Those ones are paid up characters, like even the presidents, the people, these presidents that we have, those are paid up characters. The parliamentarians are paid up characters to act like something is happening while nothing is happening, while they're doing nothing about things. So here in the royal opinion, we analyze accurately the reason why things are happening and the direction in which things are going to take. We analyze it accurately. Every time we get it perfectly right, almost perfectly right every time. Unless if the plans changes, because they sometimes changes the plans. So a vote of no confidence that we're talking about today, the parliament, maybe first the vote of no confidence, let me first define a vote of no confidence. A vote of no confidence is an important provision in the constitution of South Africa to remove a state president when parliament uh, uh, think they are not performing their duty as they are supposed to do. So the president is voted by parliament in our system. In our political system, the president is voted by parliament, not by people. Voted by parliament, there is a provision for parliament to be able to remove the president if the president is not performing his functions according to how parliament wanted or expected him to perform. In South African parliament, there are 400 members. If he has to be removed, the votes against Ramaphosa should be 201 members. If 201 members says they don't have confidence on President Ramaphosa, then President Ramaphosa would have been removed. But how many members the MK party has brought in this vote of no confidence? How many members does the MK party has? They only have 58 members. When we add the two members of the ATM, we have a total of 60 members who we are sure that they're going to vote with the MK party. And we've got the rest of the organizations, the Democratic Alliance, the EFF, obviously the ANC. The total number of votes needed. If the EFF happens to vote with the MK party, the total number of votes that we're going to have is 100. So what are the prospects that the MK party can win in a vote of no confidence against Cyril Ramaphosa? The prospects of winning are zero. President Zuma and the MK party are well aware that the prospects of winning a vote of no confidence against President Ramaphosa is actually zero, because the whole parliament, except the MK party and the ATM, is controlled by the same person. So, but what will happen? Thank you very much for the message. Let me read the message. The vote is long overdue, even though the EFF and the DA might not support, simply because the mover is the MK. This would rather see the country sink than the support MK, who are trying to save the country. They are not only going to vote against the MK party because they are the ones who brought the no confidence vote. The Democratic Alliance has previously threatened, and also the EFF, they have previously threatened to bring in a motion of no confidence against Cyril Ramaphosa, meaning they have said again and again to their members that Cyril Ramaphosa is not delivering on his mandate, on his promises, on what people are expecting him to deliver. President Cyril Ramaphosa has failed decimally. So he's failing to. The Democratic Alliance and the EFF have previously indicated this fact, and they previously threatened to bring in a motion of no confidence. Now the MK party has brought in the motion of no confidence. What will happen? The ANC and the Democratic Alliance have got a total of 176 members in parliament. I count them together because these are one party when it comes to administration and in parliament. This is one same organization implementing the Democratic Alliance policies on black people. So they've got 176 members. They are only short of how many members? Is it 24 members? Which they will easily get because they also control. The Democratic Alliance is the kingpin, if we want to put it like that, surrounded by the ANC and the other IFP and the other small parties, the Pan Africanist Congress and all of those parties. They are all funded by white people. They are all funded by from the same jar. So they are all controlled by the same people. So they are all going to vote the same. So the Democratic Alliance and all the other small parties are going to vote the same. And their vote, Democratic Alliance obviously will be against the MK party. If the Democratic Alliance decides to vote with the MK party, it will be a problem for the ANC because president to vote with the MK party. The one who can vote with the MK party is the EFF. But the EFF will only vote with the MK party when they think or when they realize or know that their vote is not going to be impactful on Cyril Ramaphosa. Illusion on their members, thinking that they are actually voting against Cyril Ramaphosa, while they know that their vote against Cyril Ramaphosa will not have an impact or on Cyril. So they just want to keep the membership thinking that they don't support Cyril and they don't support the white monopoly capital. The EFF is in conflict. There will have to be a debate in parliament before the vote are actually done. The MK party has applied for a secret vote. Though everybody knows that the secret vote will not be granted, but if the secret vote can be granted, then the EFF, it would be difficult for the EFF to vote with the MK party. They will not vote with the MK party if the secret vote is granted. Because at the end of the day, nobody will know whom they voted. They can say they voted Cyril out, but while they actually kept him, Julius Malema was for Cyril Ramaphosa to become president. He was involved. He was part of the meetings. That's why even Teboho, whom the lady who was bribed by Cyril Ramaphosa, was taken out by the EFF and restored after a year or something back to parliament. If you remember Teboho, I don't remember the name of the surname of, but she was paid by the CR17 funds about 43,000 for some other things that we don't know what is it, what was it. So Julius Malema was actually involved in planning to put Cyril Ramaphosa as president. Julius Malema would not want to see Cyril Ramaphosa goes out of office before the end of his term. They want him to keep his presidency until acted even after the release of the Mkwanazi scandals. They have not spoken about those things. They only spoke about it on journalists when the journalists are asking them questions. But doing nothing on the actual issue. They have never taken Mkwanazi, or they have never taken to the street to support Mkwanazi. They have never gone on a media briefing to support Mkwanazi. They only spoke in parliament, but speaking in parliament knowing that there's actually nothing that is going to it's safe there. It does not require them to act in any way. Action on several ends. They have applied to the constitutional court for the constitutional court to declare its power when they actually suspend, because there's no provision for 3 ministers in the constitution. There's no provision for two, and Cyril does not have a right um, to suspend a minister. He has a right to fire them according to the constitution. So the MK party has challenged the actions of President Cyril Ramaphosa. The MK party and President Zuma have acted against Cyril Ramaphosa and his agenda of the white monopoly capital. But the EFF has never done anything material. In actual fact, under the circumstance, under the situation that we are, the EFF had a party in the Western Cape. They had a party in the Western Cape, very successful party, because that's what they are good at. They're very good at organizing parties, making them very successful, but they cannot be celebrating 12 years of existence of no results. Whatever they are saying they were fighting for, the sufferings of black women has only increased. The suffering of black people has only increased since their existence. The unemployment has only escalated. The crime in the streets, the hunger has only escalated to record high since they existed. In actual fact, they were not supposed to celebrate anything, because out of the 12 years, they only celebrate that they accept helping themselves to get employment in government institutions, having a little bit of influence and getting bribes there and there. That's what they are celebrating. Besides that, there's nothing to celebrate. There's no place where land has been expropriated for black people, according to what they have been established for. They say it's land expropriation without compensation. It has never happened. They say it's nationalization of banks, nationalization of mines, and the strategic sectors. It has never happened. They say it's abolition of tenders. It has never happened. In the 12 years that they have existed, crime, drug, teenage pregnancy has only increased in the past 12 years of their existence. That's what they are celebrating today. That's what they were celebrating, the party organizers. 12 years of managing the revolution, 12 years celebrating. Yes, of course, if they of course their colonial master is celebrating, so they have to join their colonial master, because this is 12 years of controlling a revolution which was supposed to happen. uh, Black people thinking that there's somebody who is representing uh, us, while there's nobody who is representing them. 12 years of lying to black youth. Malema himself was involved in selling of alcohol. He was owning some alcohol outlets. If he's not still owning alcohol outlets even today, making profit out of uh, dehumanizing black people, making South Africans sick and stupid, giving them alcohol. At night, that's what they do. During the day, they pretend like they love black people. If you love black people, why do you own those alcohol outlets where drugs are also sold to children or to black people, to black youth? So the vote of no confidence in parliament is going to expose the aim of the MK party to have the vote of no confidence on Cyril Ramaphosa is not to win. It's actually to expose all the other parties that they are not for black people. The only challenge that the EFF will be facing is the debate, is to make a decision, is to understand and calculate the numbers well, to be strategic, because they have decided to take a position against the MK party, is to calculate well, because they will be instructed to do that. Because as well, it's very risky for them not the white men, by the white. Where do they come from? What did they say which was better than others? What good did they brought to their credentials? What did they do for them to? Did they know? They did not say anything better than anybody. Yes, somehow they've reigned on us. How did they came to be our leaders? Through the white support media, through the white propaganda, giving us information about somebody whom. So the EFF is being promoted even now in the media as an effective opposition than even the MK party, as a very experienced and effective opposition. President Zuma was in parliament for many, many years. When Malema was born, the experience in the MK party, Brian Mulife, Siabonga Gama, all these names, massive names, who knows a lot of administration work, a lot of legislation work, but they are branded some as people who are, even people in the EFF are actually better in parliament than the MK party, which is just a branding, which is that to promote the EFF. Will not vote with the MK party unless if their vote with the MK party will not affect Cyril Ramaphosa in any way. So then they will want to confuse their members to think that they actually side with the truth. They don't side with the white monopoly capital, according to them. They will vote with the MK party to keep the ground, because otherwise, if they vote with Cyril Ramaphosa, they will be clear to every black people that they are actually sell out, open like that. That's why the only thing that will make the EFF to vote with the MK party is when the vote is going to be open to the public, when they have to debate in parliament, in parliament why Cyril Ramaphosa must stay. So if they debate that the Cyril Ramaphosa should stay, the public will be aware that even the blind in the EFF is going to open their eyes. They are going to see what is happening. Everybody is allowed to send their messages. If you've got King Victor Shongwe here, please send us your bite. Yes, EFF is just all bug and no bite. They are dead solution at align themselves to freeing black people through the majority vote. The EFF voters will continue to support their leaders for the sake of food and drinks. That's what they have now. The major structure which the EFF has, it's not the branches in the community, it's the public officials of the EFF in the ministerial structures of the EFF. Without that structure, the EFF will collapse. Without the EFF members of parliament, without the EFF municipal council members, the EFF is going to collapse. So their major structure is not the branch. Their major structure is those who are uh, um, waiting for food in the EFF. That's the core structure. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Give us topic, our major topic. The MK party, they are not actually doing it, and to expose the other political organizations who are claiming to represent them, that they are actually not representing the majority of people, is to bring the conflict to the Democratic Alliance, whether to vote with the MK party or not, because they have been saying they want to bring a motion of no confidence on Cyril Ramaphosa on several occasions. Are they brave enough to? But my point, my take is, they are not going to vote Cyril out because Cyril is their last hope. They have nothing else at the moment. They are still planning to have uh, other people, sellouts, criminals. Um, Senzo Mkunu is one of the people who were getting prepared now to take over from Cyril Ramaphosa to take over governance. It's actually a criminal government. This government was set up in a criminal way by the British in 1910 when they set up the Union of South Africa. When the white people, the Afrikaners and the British were fighting for our resources and for our land, when they decided to rule over us, then they said capital would be in Pretoria, where the Afrikaners were running the administration, and the legislature to be in Cape Town, where the British were in control. So they were sharing South Africa, and to be fair among themselves, the British and the Afrikaners. Even today, the situation is still the same. The capital city of South Africa is still Pretoria, run by the Afrikaners, and the legislature is the Queen's arrangement. Nothing has changed. The criminals who came, and our kings and our ancestors, are still sitting on top of us by force. That's why it's impossible to remove Cyril Ramaphosa. South Africans cannot remove Cyril Ramaphosa. It's impossible. Don't even try. Don't even go to the street to try and remove Cyril Ramaphosa. You can't remove Cyril Ramaphosa. What will happen is police will shoot at you, and uh, the armies even try to remove Ramaphosa. You can't remove Ramaphosa. You can't remove Ruto. These people cannot be removed because they were not put there by us. They were put there by our colonial master, who are the British and the American. The idea that we are voting is fake. The, the, white came. uh, or do before the white people came. I don't think you deserve any argument about this. People were not stupid. They were using the method of fighting for black people were hands and sticks, not because they were stupid, because they did not want weapons that would destroy humanity, that would destroy themselves. Food in our plenty. So we did not fight for food. The white people were fighting for food in their deserts where there's no food. We're fighting for resources in their dry lands where there's no water. Before white people came, Africa was the Garden of Eden. There was no need for black people to create anything. We were existing with nature peacefully. We were existing with whatever is existing in a peaceful manner. What creation did white people bring in Africa besides destruction? All of what they call creation is actually destruction. They've destroyed our forest in favor of buildings. The buildings are creating dust all over, creating climate change. What creation did white people came in Africa besides destruction? Let me not go into details about that. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, uh, for joining the live stream. This will be the end. Click the like button and subscribe to the Royal Opinion if you want this to so YouTube to be able to notify you. Thank you for joining the live stream once again. Have a pleasant